Alrighty, let's go ahead and create a review. Let's see what we got here. Apparently I turned into Eeyore there for a moment. Divide the following. Sounds good. So we got x squared, we got to make that 5x to the fourth, so I'm going to put that as 5x squared. So 5x to the fourth minus 10x cubed plus 15x squared. Subtract down. Negative 2 minus negative 10 is 8x cubed. Negative 13 minus 15 is negative 28x squared. Plus 4x, bring that one down. X squared to 8x cubed, so that's going to be 8x. So 8x cubed minus 16x squared, and then plus 24x. And that's 0. That's going to be negative 12x squared. And then that's minus 20x. And then plus 2. And lastly, negative 12. Negative 12x squared. 24x. And negative 36. Subtract down. That's negative 44x. Plus 38, so plus negative 44x plus 38 over x squared minus 2x plus 3. And assuming I did that correctly, I just found that x squared minus 2x plus 3 is not a factor of the 5x to the fourth thingy. Next, what we got? Find all the zeros. Alright, so I'm not given any zeros, so I got to figure out what some zeros are. So let's zoom in. Let's try. I can mentally do 1, like the number 1. If I plug in the number 1, I'll have 5 plus 29 plus 19 minus 5. That's not 0. Let's do negative 1. Negative 5. Ooh, I like that. So if I plug in negative 1, you'll have 5 times negative 1. 29 times negative 1 squared, which is 1. 19 times negative 1. So that's negative 5. Negative 10. Negative 29. So that's 0. So that means negative 1 works. So let's divide by x plus 1. 5x cubed plus 29x squared plus 19x minus 5. So 5x squared. 5x squared plus 5x squared. Subtract down. 29 minus 5 is 24 plus 19x plus 24x. No, 24x, yeah. Wait a minute. What did I write here? That's supposed to be 5x cubed, I'm sorry. There we go. And 24 times x is 24x squared. 24x. Subtract down. That's going to be negative 5x minus 5. So put a minus 5 there. So that's going to be negative 5x minus 5. Subtract down, and that's going to be 0. So negative 1 is one of my zeros. Now I have 5x squared minus 24x plus minus 5. So plus 24x. So 5x squared plus 24x minus 5. Let's see if I can factor, because that's going to be my first go-to. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25x squared. So I got to multiply to negative 25 and add to 24. So 25 and negative 1. So 5x squared plus 25x minus 1x minus 5. Take a 5x out, I'm left with x plus 5, which means I want an x plus 5 here. To get that negative x minus 5, put a negative 1 there. This is equal to 0. So I'm going to wind up with 5x minus 1 and x plus 5. So the zeros are 1/5 and negative 5 if I solve that. So the zeros of polynomial are negative 1, 1/5, and negative 5. Given the following, identify vertical asymptotes and holes. Factor that bottom. I'm just going to do it quickly in my brains. It factors like that. If you need to do separate work, that's okay. So I'm going to have vertical asymptotes at x equals -5 and -2. Ooh, the next one's factored for me. Those will reduce away, so I'll have a hole when x is -3. And I'll have vertical asymptotes when x is 2 and -7. When I plug in -3, I'll have -3 minus 2, which is -5. And then I'll have -3 plus 7, which is 4. So 5 times 4 is 20, so -1/20th is where the hole will be. -3, -1/20th. Given the following rational functions, identify horizontal asymptotes. If there's not one, find the slant. This one I would look at and I would just say that's a linear thing on top and a quartic on the bottom, so y equals 0 is the horizontal asymptote. That next one does not have a vertical asymptote. That has a slant asymptote because the degree at the top is bigger. So let's go ahead and do the division. X squared plus 6x plus 8 divided by 3x minus 9. So to turn 3x into x squared, I need to multiply by 1/3 x. That's a spicy one. I like that. And that's going to be x squared minus 3x. Subtract down, I'll get 9x plus 8. And 3 times 3, so that's going to be plus 3. Sorry, my brain fell out there for a minute. So 9x minus 27, so your remainder is going to be, what, 35 there? I don't really care about that, so your slant asymptote is 1/3 x plus 3.